Okay, so today this is what I like to call my changing heads project. Obviously, I am definitely not this attractive, yet for all practical purposes, according to Photoshop, I am quite the beautiful young lady. So, what we want to do today is learn how to take this and this and turn them into this. If we get time, I'll even see if I can't do something with this one. You're all pretty well versed with the Photoshop program. First thing we need to do is make our selections, and you've learned your different selection tools. I've already gone ahead and made my selection, so I'm going to go to Select, Load Selection, and just going to click on Face because that's what I chose as my selection. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of zoom in a little bit here. We want to get rid of her face, but we want to keep her hair, and so we're going to go ahead and just click on her face and just press delete it. It turns it into a white background. At this point in time, I don't need the selection up anymore, so I'm going to go to Select, Deselect. Turns it into this white background that just matches this background. In the Layers palette, though, you'll still notice that I only have one layer. I need to turn that into a background layer. Easy way to do that is just to click your Erase tool, click on the Magic Erase, and just click the space in between her hair and her hat and her neck and that. Just want to erase that. And you'll notice now you get the symbols for transparency. And you'll notice that this no longer says background layer, it says layer 0. In other words, I can put something else behind here. Switch to my photo bin, and I'm going to open up the layer of me. And again, I've already made my selection. You know how to make your selections. I'm going to go up here to Select, Load Selection, and then I'm going to pull up the selection of my face. I'm going to switch to my Move tool, my Selection Move tool. Again, as soon as I click a new tool, it changes me back to my tool options. And I'm just going to switch back to my photo bin. And I'm going to pick up the layer of my face, and I'm going to slide it down to the layer of the young lady. Now, where did it go? We're going to zoom out here and see if we can't find where it put it, and there it is. We're just going to pick it up, drag it up here. Now, last year in 7th grade, you learned how to, stick your head on someone else's body, and it was funny and all that stuff, but this doesn't look real, and we need to make it look real. So first thing I'm going to do is just try to resize it so that it begins to kind of fit the right space. Looks like I'm going to have to tilt it just a little bit. And I think I'm going to need to widen my face just a smidgen, and then make myself a little bit smaller. And then I'm just going to kind of zoom out to see how that looks. Okay, I think I probably have my face to the right size to fit the body. And so now I'm going to start working some different types of magic. You'll notice that the skin tones don't come anywhere close to matching with each other. And I also see that there's a remnant of the timestamp that was on the original photograph of me. We're going to get rid of that in a little while, but right now we're going to work on matching up these skin tones. Notice that I have two different layers, a layer of her and a layer of just me. I'm going to click on pause, apologize for this, it comes up all the time when I'm doing these videos. I'm going to go ahead and click on layer 1 because that's the layer I need to change the skin tone to match this layer. Now there's no one exact way to do this, so it's a process of experimentation. I'm going to click on Enhance, and I noticed that first of all the picture of me, it's awfully bright. There's a lot of camera flash on my face, but the picture of her, there isn't that kind of brightness camera flash on her. So I'm going to start with an adjust lighting, and I think I'm just going to go with a brightness and contrast. Yours may not have this problem. If your face image does not have the camera flash problem, you may not need to start with a brightness and contrast. But for my purposes, I have to. I've got this bright flash on my face. I'm just going to slightly decrease the brightness, maybe ever so slightly. And then, should I increase or should I decrease? I think I'm going to increase the contrast a little bit and decrease the brightness a little bit. So increased and decreased. And I think it's getting me the desired effect. Is it perfect yet? No. No one step is going to make it perfect. For now, I'm going to say okay. I may have to go back and do a little bit more of that later. For now, I'm going to go ahead and start trying to match these skin tones up now that I've gotten rid of some of that bright camera flash. Enhance, adjust color. In the past, we've worked with hue saturation, and we may need to do a little bit of that, but right now I'm going to switch down to adjust color for skin tone. I'm going to pick this up and I'm going to move it out of my way. I'll stick it over here. And it gives you the directions. Click on any person's skin. Well, I can only click on the person's skin that I'm on the layer of. So in this case, it's only me. I don't like this brightness area. Over here, my skin is, a similar color to her neck and her hands already. But this area is way too bright. And so that's the area I'm going to try to tell the computer to really focus its attention on that horrible color there. So I'm going to click on that bright area, and you see instantly it made a change. And I'm already getting a little bit closer. I think I'd like to add a little more tan though, so I'm just going to bump up my tan. And I just do it in little increments and I check out what it looks like. And I think I'm going to lower my temperature a little bit. Nope, that's going to give me too much blue, so I'm going to raise the temperature back up. But if I raise the temperature up too high, I start to turn orange. And I don't want to be orange. Okay, I'm liking where I'm going right now. I'm going to say OK. And I'm going to go to an Enhance, Adjust Color. And I'm going to use a hue saturation this time. And I think I'd like to get a little bit of maybe some red in here. I may already kind of be there. I'm just going to mess around with my saturation a little bit. Yeah, so I've already got a lot of red going on. I'm just going to increase that red a little bit. Maybe decrease the lightness. And right now I'm at 0. Let's see what changing my hue does. Too much red, too much green. I'm going to go ahead and leave it at a 0. And I'm going to say OK there. Still not there, but I'm getting closer. It's a process of experimentation. So in this case, I'm going to go to Enhance, Adjust Color, and I'm going to try another skin tone adjustment. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and click maybe on this part of my cheek and see where it gives me. I can always reset that and try a different spot. Getting too orange, so I'm going to reset that and click over on this cheek. I kind of like where it's taken me here. I'm just going to increase my tan a bit. Maybe increase my blush a little bit. And again, if you don't like it, you can always back it off. And I don't necessarily, I think I'm too high there. But I feel like I'm getting there. I'm going to go ahead and say OK. And then I'm going to Enhance, Adjust Lighting, and I'm going to try another brightness and contrast. I still think it's too bright. Notice the skin tones are really starting to match up better now. Now the contrast is interfering, so it's a little too high. Just going to back that off a bit. I'm going to say OK. I'm getting much closer now. I don't know that it's perfect yet, but I'm getting there. But what I fear is maybe it still looks fake to me because it is fake. It's all cut out. So let's start working on that for a little bit. I need to get my head underneath of that hat. And all I have to do for that is just to change the order of the layers. Now the hair is over top of me. It looks really fake here, but we're going to work on that. First of all, I'm going to switch to the layer of this lady. And if you remember in past lessons, I've told you to switch to your blur tool. Just about any time you cut something out, switch to your blur tool, and we're going to blur that really distinct edge there. I'm going to go ahead and keep it with a soft edge brush. For right now, I think I'll keep my strength at 99 to 100%. It doesn't matter there. I think we're going to leave it that way. And I'm going to make my tool a little bit smaller. And for this purpose, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit. And I'm just going to start blurring out that edge. Notice, as I blur that edge out, that hair begins to sink right into my forehead. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing around the hat. And it's almost to the point where you can't tell that hair is not actually a part of my face. So I've blurred that out pretty good. And while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and blur out her her neckline here. I'm going to blur out over here around her hair. And I'm just going to lightly blur out this area here. It looks to me like my face needs to be a little bit wider. So I'm going to switch to my Move tool, click on my face layer, and I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger to cover up that space. Maybe too big, maybe just widen it a little bit. Just a smidgen. And then I'm going to say OK. Now I need my chin to be on the outside of her neckline. It looks kind of funny with my face inside of that neckline. So on the layer of me, I'm going to switch to my selection tool. I'm going to use my normal selection brush, 100% strength, 100% hardness, and I'm just going to select this area of my face. And I don't even have to be careful because on this layer there's nothing outside of my face, so I don't have to be real careful to select it. And I'm going to use kind of like my nose as an anchor point. You'll see what I mean by an anchor point in just a second. I'm going to go to Edit, Copy, Edit, Paste. You'll notice now there's a layer of my chin, but I need it to be on top of her. So I'm just going to switch the order of those two layers. Now I need to go find where my chin has been placed. And there it is. Looks kind of funny. And I'm going to zoom back in on that area. And I'm going to start trying to line it up. For this, I'm going to use my keys on my keyboard. I'm going to use my arrow keys. Now, to me, that looks pretty good. Don't worry about it being too thick over here. We're going to do some plastic surgery in a moment. But in order to know that the face is exactly where it needs to be, I'm going to hide the face. Oops, I'm sorry, the chin. And I want to see, I'm only looking at my lips. Do my lips move? And it looks like my lips move slightly to the left when they reappear. So on that layer, I'm just going to use my right arrow key, and I'm going to move it over a smidgen, and then I'm going to start doing it again. Notice my lips no longer move, which means my lips are exactly on top of the other layer of my lips. So I've lined everything up perfectly, and I'm going to do a little bit of plastic surgery. For that, I'm going to switch to my Erase tool. I'm going to keep it with a soft edge brush and a reduced opacity, and I'm just going to make my tool a little bit smaller, and I'm going to start doing a little bit of plastic surgery. Make sure you're on the right layer. So now my face is fitting in there pretty nice. My skin tone is pretty good. I think I could go back and do more. Again, you really want to make sure your skin tone is very well adjusted before you start cutting your layers up, because now I'll have to do an adjustment on skin tone on two totally different layers. Okay? So you really want your skin tones to match up as best as you can get them before you have to do something like this, if you have to do something like pulling the chin layer out or something, okay, to put it on top of the layer of her. But as you can see, we're really starting to get where we wanted to be. I still have this red spot in here, and you know how to use the clone tool. If I can find my clone tool, there it is. And I'm going to be on this layer of my chin. Whoop, it's this one. Make my tool smaller. And I'm going to go ahead and Alt, click the mouse, and I'm just going to start healing that area of my chin. Alt, click the mouse. Not healing it, but cloning it out. I want to get that red spot out of there. Okay? And then when you back off, it's starting to get pretty scary. Not like 7th grade when you just stuck your head on top of a body. This is really starting to look real. Okay? Now, that's the gist of it. There is no one exact way to do it. You notice that I bounced back and forth between some adjust lighting for brightness and contrast. You can also mess around with these. if your problem is a brightness and contrast problem. Adjust color, you saw that I did a little bit of hue saturation. I did several adjustments for skin tone. There is no one set way to do it, so it's more about experimenting but knowing what places to experiment with. I'm going to go ahead and also start putting my head on this fella's body. You don't have to continue watching. It's there for a secondary example. I'll probably not talk through this one. If you don't want to continue watching, let's go ahead and get yourself to work.